my special needs son in his death as they did during his life. Criminals have no morals. I can only imagine what Kendall's last days were like. The leads in this Prescott drug ring don't allow using the same kids twice in a row to pick up drugs every run. They mask themselves behind our children. There are more kids involved in this business than Prescott authorities will admit to. The same pattern by the same people was used last year in Prescott. Only last year they used adults. Now, to change their MO, they have started using our teenagers. Teenagers are easier to control. My neighbor left town last year because he got conned into the same problem as my son. He feared for his life. He was a 40-year-old man becoming a school teacher at Yavapai College. He asked for my help. He's alive. Kendall's dead. A person of interest, who was known to be at my son's apartment the night of his death, told the police informant, "Ah, fuck. Now I have to find another one." That statement was made in reference to my son's dying. This hardcore teen was living at Kendall's apartment, unbeknownst to Kendall's true friends, controlling the last day of his life. This person is still on Prescott streets dealing. Prescott High School suspended him. He has never been to the school for education, but has been on campus to deal heroin. How did Kendall meet these kinds of people? The week before he left for Europe, Kendall gave a party and announced it on MySpace. A friend that was already involved with these people introduced Kendall to them. These people were looking for fresh bait, and they found my son, Kendall. Kendall is now the easiest target for this element to blame for everything, so they can keep their connection with Prescott authorities. I was told that the person who called 911 shot heroin over my son's body. Gil, Kendall's father, found that dirty needle the next day where this young man was waiting for the police after he had called them. This person immediately entered rehab for heroin the same day he found Kendall. Since then, he has been back in rehab instead of jail, too afraid to tell what he knows, protected by his father's strength in the Prescott community. Kendall had a senseless puncture wound on his body that I now believe was made by persons in his apartment at the time of his death with a random, clean needle I found and gave to the police. The boy claiming to have been alone couldn't have moved my son, Kendall, the length he moved him without help from someone else. Kendall was almost 6'3" and approximately between 150 and 160 pounds. An hour and a half before the police came to my apartment about Kendall's death, I was outside of Kendall's apartment and heard noises, but no one would let me in. I thought Kendall was being a brat. I went home and called his father, crying to do something because Dad had all the control. Later, the police came to my house after I had made that phone call. My son was terrorized, under watch, being utilized for not only his apartment and vehicle, but anything else these drug dealers needed. The MySpace information I gave the police reinforces validation of all this, including the trafficking of drugs located in Phoenix, from Mexico, and from Las Vegas, as well as names. Where is the FBI? I found an address, 3545 Tower Road in Prescott Valley, on the internet, where drugs were being stashed. I checked into it. They were moving out and have never been caught, even though with the address came their names. My son has been the scapegoat in a very unknown and severely dangerous epidemic that lies not only in Prescott, everyone's hometown, but is now becoming recognized within the Arizona state educational system. The wrongful pre-evaluation of my son Kendall Linne's death, publicized across America, has started media reaction. The dealers that took advantage of Kendall are now utilizing someone else's naive kid. I've already heard about it. These kids' lives mean nothing to these dealers. That's why there has already been 9 deaths that I am aware of, and probably many more since I heard that information. All of this is not as of yet programmed to the general public, which talks about my son without knowing him or the truth. If I can find justice within the American system, the truth will come out. I am hoping for recognition of the slander brought to my son's name. I'm hoping to help to bring to other parents an awareness of what is going on in the schools of the Southwest and the danger that their children are in. I'm hoping to find somewhere out there the due respect my son deserves. Kendall accomplished challenges beyond his own disabilities. He was second-year college math in Ames test in 8th grade. Kendall can't help himself in death, but in his life, Kendall was determined and achieved successes beyond expectations. With my son's determination, I will find help for Kendall. Kendall, not knowing any other way to get out of this, kept his tire flat for 3 weeks. A week after this all started, when he came back from Europe, I fixed that flat tire for him. Kendall yelled at me. His uncle made him apologize to me. His dad wasn't concerned. I was just overreacting. The next week, my son, Kendall Linne, was dead. The man that fixed his tire told me the tire had been slashed 4 times. Kendall slashed his own tire. It was the only way he could think to save himself. The teenagers of Prescott silkscreened his face and octopus fantasy all over the streets of downtown Prescott in honor of my son and what he represented to them: love. In only the hearts of his friends will Kendall remain alive, fading on the streets of Prescott, Arizona, never having the opportunity to fulfill his dreams and goals. I miss my dear sweet boy. I was honored to be his mother. MySpace, Ken Sawyer. The information I was able to find is because of the love my son generated to his peers in Prescott, Arizona. I would like to thank them all.